Consider supporting Archaeosoup on Patreon for as little as $1 per month. Link available in the video description. Thank you.
Hello, welcome back to the A to Z of Archaeology. Today is the letter N, and N stands for New or Processual Archaeology. Now, New Archaeology was an attempt in the late 1960s and the 1970s to introduce scientific rigour to the pursuit of archaeology. The idea was not only to explain what had happened in the past, but crucially how it had happened. After nearly a century of culture historical archaeology, logging what had happened, when and where, archaeologists now sought to answer how this had happened. This loss of innocence would involve the introduction of new techniques to archaeology, scientific rigour and the latest analytical machines, computers and other fascinating devices. Archaeology was now to be seen as a cultural fossil. All we need do is gain the right techniques and this fossil could be brought back to life. Details of everyday life and the realities of past societies were only a scientific process away. This was the challenge of New Archaeology. New Archaeology not only introduced a plethora of scientific techniques to the field, but also it defined some of the debates which would help shape archaeology as it is today. New archaeology brought with it a reassessment of how archaeology was done, from cleaning of objects to the accurate recording of objects. Everything was revisited. No data was too small or too accurate, and with the use of computers, all of this could be analysed together. New archaeology studied cultures which exist today in order to better understand how they use technology. This technology could then be directly compared to technologies of the past and hopefully gain a deeper understanding of how that past technology was employed. One of the most important debates of this era was about taphonomy, or how archaeology goes from being a living thing to being something which we dig up. The famous excavation of Pompeii was seen as a wonderful case study for this debate. To what extent could we trust what we were finding? Were we finding a pristinely preserved archaeological culture, or were we in fact observing something which had actually changed in the ground? To what extent did it reflect real Romans? The use of computers was very important in this period. Not only did it allow accurate recording of lots of data, but it also pioneered new ways of analysing data on a grand scale. Also, new scientific techniques such as mass spectrometry allowed archaeologists to analyse where objects had come from and where they'd been made. Social interactions and trade networks were analysed and modelled like never before, and indeed new archaeology saw a model of the entire of society conceived and drawn up. This had mixed results. However, there were problems, and these problems not only acted as a critique for new archaeology, but also helped to improve some of the findings from this crucial period in archaeology's past. One of the biggest stumbling blocks was human nature. People often do things that don't make sense. Indeed, we often do things that are downright stupid. And new archaeology struggled in many instances to accommodate the plethora and the spectrum of human decision-making. The trouble was modelling people en masse when we all make different decisions. Some archaeologists were accused of positivism. That is, if it cannot be scientifically proven, then clearly it doesn't exist. Critics argued that the more archaeologists attempted to model the minutiae of everyday life, the more reality slipped away from us. For example, data tells us that in this image there are only white dots. However, human experience tells us something very different. For some, the limitation of data meant that people were at best a little bit troublesome, but at worst they were to be avoided entirely when talking about the past. In recent years, however, the active role of the individual in the past has been accepted, and bit by bit, new ways of looking at the societies that we excavate are being developed. All of this, however, has its roots in the debates which were started in the 1960s and 70s. So, new archaeology wasn't the definitive step that it probably set out to be. However, it did start debates which still rage today. The continuing reassessment of techniques, the continuing discussion surrounding the importance of people in the past. So this is really the most important legacy of this period, is this strive for improvement. Always reassessing our finds and our techniques in the light of new technology and new philosophies. In other words, always striving for a more satisfactory discussion and explanation of the past, rather than just listing what has happened. Now, archaeologists, both of the processual era, but also in this post-processual era, are constantly striving for the reality, the things that make us ourselves, which can be seen in archaeology. And that surely has to be a good thing. So that's been N, new or processual archaeology. Hopefully you found this video interesting or useful. Feel free to comment below. If you have any questions, do not hesitate to message me. Just send me a message and I will get back to you as soon as possible. Please do, of course, subscribe to the page if you would like to continue to hear from me. I'm always happy to welcome you to the subscribing family. And also, as well, we do now have a Facebook page, and often things that don't make it onto this channel make it onto that page instead. So all you need to do is search for Archaeosoup Productions on Facebook and click like. So, until next time, thank you very much.
I've broken a sieve, I'm sorry to say it. It speared me.
Did it?
Yeah, as I broke it.
It wasn't particularly wetland.
There we are.
Oh, lovely.
Thank you very much.
Thank you. Don't have a pencil, do you?
In the drawing box.
Don't know.
we were-
Thank you.
Thank you.